And so, like, if you need your laptop,
Yeah, I can just link up.
yes, and I'll
Okay, great.
disconnect.
Hey, John, thanks for
Hi.
coming
Yeah,
this
sure.
morning.
Yeah,
It's gonna
thank
be
you.
great for them to hear this.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
thanks.
exciting.
Let's see.
How are you? Good?
I'm good. It's always a little shocking with swinger things, but
Let's get into school.
Okay, good.
That's like getting back to school.
Oh, come on.
Is that working?
Yeah, it is working.
Excellent.
Let's see. Okay, good. We, last year had it in here, and everyone was scattered and sat different places. And we had in here to the extreme, and it was just not a very, it didn't seem like it was monitored, and it just felt disconnected. So, that's some of our struggles.
Hi, Jane. How are you?
I just wanted to make sure everything's okay. You're all set. Okay. I'll be right down here if you need anything. Okay?
Good. Thank you. And Jane, will you come up?
I'm gonna come up with Elizabeth. She's going to speak, and I'm just gonna look good next to her.
Okay. 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 Thank you. So, and generally 305 is nice, and we started learning how to stream better out of there.
Where's the streaming happening from? About there?
Yeah. I know, I hate the lights right there. But yeah, no, he's back
The
there.
lights are-
Dave is back
right.
there. I know.
It's like a convocation.
Right.
The convocation was really fun.
Yes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
great.
it was so fun, and I just love watching them start hugging each other.
Yeah, no, it's really.
Yeah, it's really, really great. Very right, very good, very good. Yeah. So okay, your daughter is Maya.
That's right.
Why is somebody saying Allie?
Allie? Oh, Allie's her father.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that.
Maybe yeah, and Sanjay, right?
It's like,
Um,
and Bree is out there somewhere.
okay.
She's here.
Okay. I see her.
See her?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's there.
Yeah. Yep. She's right there. And I do need to email.
No, it's
today.
fine. It's-
I just want to do it that I'm in
Yeah,
hand.
right, yeah,
And
yeah.
it just kind of food for thought.
Yeah, no, sure.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you watch the men's final? Is that
Oh, yeah.
like when he did the head hit down?
Yes.
When he hit that winner to win the fourth set, that shot was like an unbelievable shot. And then he came back from 5-2. Yeah.
We went, because my oldest was in New York before flying back to LA. So all the kids, we were all there in the Spanish restaurant watching it on the big screen. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. Yeah. Right. And this is 9:05. Yes. We good, ready to go. Good morning, everyone. We'll let everyone get in and get seated. People are able to do security, like Good morning, and welcome to the PSPA All-School Meeting. We are so happy to have you all here. We know that you all are coming from the Short Hills campus, you're here at the middle school and at the upper school. And we want to take this time to welcome all of you, each one of you, because we are all part of the Pingree School, no matter which campus our children are matriculating. So thank you. I see so many familiar faces. Many of you may not know me, but I'm Lisa Billington, your PSPA president for this year, for 2019-2020, and it has been very wonderful experience being your first VP in the last year, because the president serves as a first VP and then becomes president the second year. And just want to thank you all for welcoming me. The faculty and administration has been wonderful in supporting me and getting our board all set up and situated for this year ahead. And it's really, really nice, and we really all appreciate the support, and we appreciate everyone who has come today to attend. We appreciate the administrators and faculty who've come here today to share a bit of themselves with you, to help you get a little more acquainted with different people at different campuses. So I can tell you that as a mom of 4, and with my last one here as a senior, I can tell you I've probably been through many and most of the things that you go through as parents, and sometimes it's been a joyful, wonderful, crazy, exciting experience, and then other times, and sometimes most of the time, it could be a mundane, it's what I would call hard labor days, when you have your little ones and you're just getting in the car in time, nobody's really fully dressed, you gotta get to school or get to the bus stop, and those days, especially when in elementary school, it's hustle, 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 hustle all the time, or it's managing emotions all the time, managing your emotions, managing theirs. And then you have these joyful little elementary school kids that move into middle school, and they go in one way and they come out a totally different kid. And so many times I've met middle school parents who have said, middle school. And that's all you have to say. That's all you have to say, because middle school can be very tough as our young human beings are identifying for the first time a little bit more about who they are, who they like and who they don't like, and what they can do and if they can do it. And then by the time they get to 9th grade, they're starting to figure some things out, but there's always some fear and trepidation with that whole time as a parent and as a parent of a child who might be struggling with friend groups, or who might be struggling with their grades, or who might be feeling really good and accomplished, but there's always waves and valleys, waves and valleys. And so I think that we, in this year, and some of the things we'll talk about in the year ahead, will really speak to being able to address our students' wellness, and that wellness and being there for them means that we as parents are also addressing our own wellness needs. So we're here for each other. It's really important to talk. It's really important to conversate, to communicate, and it's important to be real with each other in terms of things that might not feel really good to say, but you said it and somebody else has said, thank God I'm not the only one who feels that way. So please join us this year at our many events throughout the year, and we'll talk about those. But it is a good time for us, especially with the welcoming of our new head of school, Matt Levinson, and his family. And I could tell you a whole lot about Matt that you probably have already read several times over. I figured many of you have probably already dug a level deeper, like who is this head of school? Who is this Matt Levinson? So I won't go there, but I will tell you, for the short few months that I've had the opportunity to meet and get to know Matt, I can tell you he's a very, very friendly individual. He is very engaging. I can tell right away that he cares. I can tell that he is really interested in being here for you as this head of school. He has been working very hard this summer, getting to know many, many individuals here at the Pingree School to help to kind of shape things in terms of starting the year ahead. And Matt comes with his wife, Pri, and his daughter, Maya, and their son, Sanjay. And Maya, I think, is in the 11th grade. She's a junior. So just imagine moving your child in the middle of high school. That is not an easy feat. And if any of you have done it, it's really difficult. And we know that they are sturdy and strong, but we also know that it's important for us to be there for them as a family also. So we are really grateful. We welcome them. We welcome them with open hearts, and we are here for you, Matt. And I'd like to welcome Matt Levinson, our head of school.
So I just want to thank Lisa. She and I have met, I think, pretty much every other week since I started in July, and we'll continue to do that through the year, and it's been incredibly helpful for me as I learn my way around the Pingree community. So I had the good fortune yesterday of being at Short Hills for the day, which was a lovely way to spend the day, greeting the students in the morning and visiting classes throughout the day. And at the end of the day, I finished in a kindergarten classroom where I was in KSR for about 15 minutes at the end of the day. And got to see some really magical things with those kids and with the teacher. And the teacher did a wonderful thing, brought me around the carpet to meet the kids as they could ask me some questions. And one of the kids goes, "What do you do?" And then one of the other kids goes, "Oh, I know what he does. I know." And he's eagerly, raising his hand. He prints a lot of paper. And then he does a lot of paperwork. And so hopefully they'll learn that I do more than that over the course of the year. But one of the things that I shared with my wife, Pri, last night, she was a lower school educator for 26 years, that with 15 minutes of spending time in that classroom, Amelia Saracen was the teacher, and I saw her do probably 40 things in that 15-minute period with those kindergartners that required so much skill on her part. And one of the things that she said as they were reviewing what was going to be the homework for the evening, which was to discern some patterns. And one of the kids did a preview, answered the question correctly, and she looked at him and she goes, "Now you kiss your brain." And he just sort of did like that. But she had so many ways of recognizing positive behavior in those kids, and such a great way to build community. So it just made such an impression on me. So one of the things that I wanted to do before I get into focusing a little bit on what I'm going to be doing this year is to share a story that I shared with the faculty and staff when I met with them at the start of opening meetings. And it is about my father. So when I was a young teacher, I think in my second or third year, I was at Princeton Day School at the time, and it was back to school night. And I remembered a moment that I'd had with my dad when I was in middle school. I was a very competitive soccer player, so I spent a good part of the spring every year going to lots of different tournaments. And there was this one tournament that I went to every year, I think it was probably for about 5 years, from 6th grade through 10th grade. It was down in Williamsburg, Virginia, and it was always the weekend before final exams when I would go. And I went, and my dad would dutifully take me, and we'd stay at the hotel during those times. But he would never let me leave the hotel to join my teammates who wanted to go to Busch Gardens amusement park in between games and ride the roller coasters. He would make me stay back and study for final exams. And so I'd bring my books down there, and I'd sit in the hotel room and be studying, and of course I was not very happy with my father at the time. In fact, I told him on a number of occasions how much I hated him for making me do that, as my teammates were out, and they were giving me lots of grief about staying back at the hotel. But when I was looking back on it as a young teacher, when I was in my mid-20s, I looked back at that time and I sort of remembered my dad, and I was like, oh, that was a really wonderful time that I got to spend with my dad. I didn't realize it at the time, but in my mid-20s, I could look back and say that was really special. So I called my dad after back to school night to tell him that I had told that story to the class of parents who I was teaching. And I was so appreciative. "Dad, it was such a wonderful bonding moment. I appreciated that you held the line, you drew a boundary, it was important, and we bonded over that time." And there's silence on the other end of the phone. And he goes, Matt, what are you talking about? And he had no memory of that moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, how could you not remember this moment? This was like father-son bonding time. And I was like, are you sure you don't remember that? He goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. But it was a good message and reminder, I think, as we start the year. And it was the same message to the faculty and staff, and I will convey to you in your role as parents. You never know what's going to stick with your child. And as Lisa so eloquently stated at the beginning, parenting is a lot of roller coaster riding, right? It's the ups and downs, and you never know that moment, that small moment, when you're there with your child, where it's going to leave a lasting impact. 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the road, your child may call you on the phone and share a story, and you may have no recollection of that moment. And that was the same message to the teachers and the staff as well, that they have so many interactions with children on a daily basis, and we never know what's going to stick. And they may come back as alums and share a moment, and the teacher or staff member may have no memory of that. So as we start the year, I think that's a good and important message to think about. So this year, in terms of my first year at Pingree, I will be spending a lot of time listening and learning. And one of the ways that I started doing that this summer was meeting individually with each faculty and staff member. And I think I'm sort of in the mid-70s, early 80s in terms of those meetings, in terms of number of people that I've met with. And there's a couple themes that emerged in those conversations, and I'm sure more will as well. But one of the things that has stood out to me so powerfully in those conversations is that the first thing that the faculty and staff members talk about in my conversation are the students, are your children, and how much they appreciate and value the kids here at Pingree, for how engaged they are, how interested they are, how funny they are, and just the sense of community that exists here. And the teachers and staff really, really appreciate that. Another theme that I have heard from the teachers and staff, which I think speaks to Pingree as an institution, is the opportunity for growth and development. So many stories of staff members who said, well, I came to Pingree and I started with like this, and then it sort of evolved into this, and then I grew into this. And actually, one of the people who's here today who's going to speak later is Doug Scott. And I remember the conversation that I had with him. When he started, there really wasn't a strength and conditioning program, but he was given the opportunity to build and develop that over time and with support from Pingree, but sort of there was a road in front of him to be able to do that. And I've heard that story over and over again, which I think speaks to the commitment of the school, to the professional development of the faculty and staff. So a second area of focus for me this year will be around diversity and inclusion. As you saw in the letter that I put out, have put some leadership structures in place. We have an internal diversity and inclusion leadership team made up of teachers and staff across all three divisions. That was really important to me to put a group like that together, because I think a team approach is really powerful. I also wanted to make sure we had all three divisions represented to ensure clear and open communication so we knew what was going on across the school. There's a board task force that got together last year and will continue with that work this year with me. And obviously also the senior administrative team will be working with me this year. We have engaged Allison Park as a consultant who will be on campus 3 times. She'll be here in the fall for 2 days, in the winter for 2 days, and in the spring for 2 days. And we're planning her visits, and she will be engaging in lots of conversations and focus groups. In the first meeting, or the first visit that she'll have, she'll engage with the PSPA executive board as part of that first visit, and then we will expand her meetings over the course of the year after that. So the hope is that over the course of the year, and by the end of the year, we can forge a strategic path for Pingree and with Pingree in the area of diversity and inclusion. This is not easy work. In fact, it's very hard work to engage in this. It's very personal to me. My family is a diverse family. We talk about diversity a lot. We talk about inclusion a lot based on our family's experiences, and our children talk about that quite a bit. And obviously, as we're trying to build an inclusive community, we want everyone to feel included in the community, and that takes a lot of work collectively on our behalf. And then the final area of focus for me is around the strategic plan, is to keep that work moving forward. There's some exciting work. You are going to be really excited. I don't want to talk up John too much, but I will. I think you're really going to enjoy his presentation this morning on experiential education. And this, to speak to the faculty and staff and sort of the commitment of people, I met with John this summer And ahead of the meeting, I was given a 39-page report on experiential education and the future of learning at Pingree that John had put together with a bunch of teachers and staff. And I think what resounded to me in reading that was the passion that was in there and the commitment to helping kids have these amazing experiences at Pingree, and I think you'll get a taste of that in his presentation today. And of course, as I go through the year, you will see me around campus quite a bit, and you'll see me at events and games and performances and so forth. And please, come up and talk to me. I look forward to getting to know all of you. I mean, that's a big part of how I'm going to listen and learn this year. I thank you for the commitment that you give and the time that you give to the school in terms of volunteering. A school like Pingree, we couldn't run this giant operation without your support and your commitment to the school, and I think you're in great hands with Lisa's leadership as the president this year, and I look forward to working closely with all of you, and it's great to be here at Pingree. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. We are very happy that you're here with us. To move along in our program, I would just like to ask that Margaret, Liz, Maureen cannot be here today, Colleen, and Matangi, please come to the stage very quickly. So just to introduce you to a few of our members, and then we'll continue with the program. We have Margaret Santana. Margaret, just step forward. She is our first VP, and Margaret is the president in training. So this year is her year to get to know everything that I spent time doing last year, and she will be taking over as your president for the 2020-2021 school year. So welcome, Margaret. Margaret is also over, as board members, we all have like a liaison committee that we work with, and Margaret will be working with community and civic engagement, MLK Day, any of our charitable events that we do in the fall and the spring, and then also for Taste of Pingree in the spring. Thank you, Margaret. And then next we have Liz Frank, who's our VP of Communications. Liz works with us every single week. We get like an email around Sunday, Monday, making sure that anything that we have for submissions gets in on time for the Big Blue Bulletin, which is our primary source of communication. So it is a lot of detail and a lot of keeping us on our P's and Q's. So welcome, Liz, as the VP of Communications. We have Matangi Srinivas, who is our volunteer coordinator. So if any of you have gone on the volunteer survey this summer, Matangi was able to do some awesome updates and really make it a little bit more user-friendly for us. And also, I learned a lot about a vanity URL, which I never knew what a vanity URL was until Matangi. So you all, it makes it easier for you to sign up. And then we have Colleen, and I'm sorry, Matangi is also over the admissions coordination and then also with STEM, working with the STEM group. And then we have, Colleen Llanas, who is our secretary, who has been enormous in helping us last year and this year. She's been working alongside Kathy Sartorius also, who's been a rock star in terms of getting all of our parent socials lined up for the year. And that is not an easy job, and we really thank them both. And Colleen is great keeping me organized, keeping our board organized with up-to-date information. So thank you all. And so moving on, we would like to hear from some of our administrators. So if Dr. Duff from the lower school would please join us.
Thank you, Lisa. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to join you today and welcome you to Basking Ridge. New parents, welcome to Pingree. If you are new to the lower school, welcome. It is a fantastic place, so welcome to Little Blue. So I want to give you some tidbits. You'll hear more from me on Thursday, those of you that are from the lower school, when you join us for back to school night. So some of the things that are happening at the lower school, I want to tell you a little bit about the ways that we cultivate leadership and resiliency at the lower school. We start at kindergarten through our morning meetings as in homeroom. We work through our decisions program, Dr. Johns and Mrs. Perlow. They work with our students to help them to advocate for themselves, to foster independence, and our homeroom teachers, they start our students off with jobs, and so to really develop some leadership skills. Moving on, our students also, we have a student council in 4th and 5th grade. In the student council, they are responsible for scheduling as well as running our morning meetings, which takes place on Thursdays. And so that's also a way for them to develop public speaking skills. Our students also have an opportunity to develop leadership skills and resiliency through our fall and spring enrichment programs. They have an opportunity to apply to be an assistant director and assistant coordinator of the fall and spring enrichment. As part of our music program, they also have an opportunity to be a conductor, which is a great opportunity for them. This year, we are extremely proud of a new initiative that we have as part of the wellness program, which you'll hear also from Doug. As an extension of our curriculum, PE, as well as decisions, we are implementing mindfulness in the K-5 curriculum. And so our teachers are being trained in mindfulness, in meditation. We have also provided an opportunity for our teachers to participate in guided meditation one Wednesday a month for the entire school year, but they are also being trained to incorporate that into the classroom curriculum. We have developed and designed a meditation and mindfulness curriculum for grades K through 5. And so all of our students will be able to engage in mindfulness activities to gain tools to help them to learn about stress, time management, again, an extension of our decisions program. Our Big Blue Garden is a fantastic place. If you have not had a chance to visit, that's part of our experiential learning. Place-based education is an opportunity for our students to engage in learning, to learn about the environment, to learn about the world locally, globally, but right here at school, in their own community, in their own backyard. We also have an opportunity to engage our students in learning about sustainability. We have 2 gardens. We partnered with, and you'll hear from Jake about sustainability. Jake and Olivia, they have an opportunity to come down to meet with our teachers, to engage in conversation, and also to work in our gardens. And that's part of the collaboration between Short Hills and Basking Ridge that you will see that takes place quite often as well. You heard Matt mention faculty growth. That is something that is crucial to the work that we do at Pingree. Our faculty and staff, they have an opportunity to continue to maintain their skills as well as to continue to build their capacity. Our faculty and staff, they continue to attend professional development locally. It may be a one-day session, it may be a 3-day, it may be a 1-week intensive during the year, but the learning does not stop just during the school year. Our faculty, they continue that learning over the summer. This summer, we had 12 faculty members attend the Institute for Social Justice for teaching of diversity, and we are very proud of that. We also had 6 faculty members participate in responsive classroom teaching that took place. We had 6 faculty members also attend Teachers College, Columbia University for their Reading and Writing Teaching Institute. We are extremely proud of that. And the work that takes place when our faculty return, they share that information, which of course spurs a lot of energy. And in this fall, in this winter, we do have additional faculty members who were accepted at Columbia University for a similar program. We're very proud of that. Thank you. And so there are a lot of absolutely, one of the things, of course, the foundation of our community at the lower school at Pingree starts with the honor code. And our students, they do partner with their classroom buddies. Again, another opportunity for leadership. And what we do, we start out with the honor code assembly. Certainly here, as you saw with convocation, the students, it carries through here, but at the honor code assembly, the students have an opportunity to sign the honor code. The conversation starts at home with you, but at the assembly, they do turn the honor code into me, and they return to their classrooms to continue the conversation with their classroom buddies. The Classroom Buddy program is an opportunity for an older grade to partner with a younger grade, and that partnership continues throughout the year. They engage in conversation not just about the honor code, but they also participate in buddy activities throughout the year, whether it's the Genderbread activity or World Language Week, where they participate in various activities. Again, other opportunities for the grade levels to meet. I know I'm almost out of time. We are extremely proud, and we have also expanded our PE program. When you get to visit the lower school this year, when you enter the the gymnasium, you will see that we have a new traversing wall. That's also a way for us to expand physical fitness. It is challenge by choice. It is an opportunity for the students to gain, again, resiliency, leadership, to build courage, to build character, and not just learn physical fitness, but to really learn responsibility, to learn how to work together in partnership, and also the skills that they need to develop as physical fitness students. It is absolutely beautiful. You walk into the gymnasium, it just brightened up the place. I welcome you, and I invite you to come to the lower school. Please come and visit us anytime. Our lower school families, I can't wait to see you on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Duff, our head of school at the lower school. If you haven't been there lately, it is a happy place to be, so I welcome you to visit sometimes. I would like to move along and be able to go a little bit further in our program, and if we could have Lori Piet, who is the director for the middle school, along with Ananya Chatterjee. If you all just want to come on up and share some of the best of Pingree in the year ahead.
So I am going to try to keep this crisp and clean, and there are a number of different things that are happening in the middle school this year. You will have a chance, if you are a sixth grade parent, at the Welcome to Sixth Grade meeting to hear a little bit more in depth about the transition to the middle school. And of course, back to school night is the first week in October, and you'll hear more there. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of you for all that you do for the school in general and for the middle school in particular. I can't tell you how important it is for us to have your support and how often the faculty and staff mention how supportive and helpful you are to them. They really appreciate it, so first and foremost, thank you. Middle school, you might remember, is a somewhat difficult time in people's lives. Not for you, of course, but you know, your children will have some ups and downs, as Lisa said. It's also a very dynamic time where students have an opportunity to grow and to try new things and to take risks. And so much of the middle school program is designed around supporting them through taking those risks and helping them to become independent while also sort of being a safety net for them. I will talk about just a few initiatives that are going on this year, and I'll close with a few recommended books because I am a complete nerd. First, we have something that's called #WinAtSocial, and this is a program that leverages the appeal of high school students and college students in posing dilemmas around social media to middle school students in a game platform. So they've got the game appeal, they have the appeal and the verification from high school students. It poses questions that middle school students will answer around what they would do in particular situations. They have a chance to discuss it, and then the really cool thing is that they hear from the high school students or the college students what they actually did. And that goes a lot further in the appeal to the middle school students than some of you or some of us suggesting things that they might do. Another initiative that we're piloting this year is something called Prepare Inc. Prepare Inc. is an organization that has been around for over 25 years. Their umbrella focus is on anti-violence, and the reason why it's so important for the middle school is that it really works at the nexus of setting physical and emotional boundaries for oneself, and that helps students as they, in middle school, are managing changing friendships and also managing, you know, the occasional mean comment and how to respond to it. We also this year will be continuing the discussion forums where the counselors and I meet with students in Form 1, which is the middle of the middle school, where a lot of issues tend to come up. We'll address issues that the students raise as well as issues that we see recur year to year. And the students generated Random Acts of Kindness Club will continue as well. And that was something that grew out of Project Week 2 years ago and the work that that particular 7th grade did. This year we will also begin an in-depth review of the homework policy. I want to say first and foremost that Pingree is a school that gives homework and will continue to give homework. But we also recognize that it is very important for us as educators to reflect on how that homework is translated into daily life and to tweak our policies as we move forward. And then finally, the books. There's a fabulous book that came out this spring called Middle School Matters by Phyllis Fagel. You may have seen a lot of her articles in the Post or the Times or the Atlantic. The thing that I love about this book is that it's really aimed at you, parents, and every chapter closes with some very, very good conversation starters that can help you engage in some of the key topics that come up in middle school with your child. Under Pressure is another book I would recommend by Lisa DeMoore, who also wrote Untangled, which focuses on the kind of prevalence of anxiety in our culture today, and in particular its impact on girls. Raising Cain by Michael Thompson, which focuses on the different ways in which boys learn and issues that pertain to boys, is another great book. He will actually, through the efforts of Dr. Duff, will be coming to address the parents in the fall. And also just a super nerd book. There's something called The Undoing Project by Michael Lewis, who wrote The Big Short and Moneyball, and this is just fascinating because it chronicles the relationship between Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, who are two Nobel Prize-winning economists who looked at the connection between human behavior and economics. And then lastly, I would just say that middle school is also a transition for parents. And as we try to get your students ready and independent and provide them with the student skills so they can thrive in our high school, we are giving them lots of information that doesn't always necessarily come home to you. So please, if you have a question, if you want more information, please, please, please reach out, and we will get back to you very quickly. So thank you. Let's have a great year.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you very much. And now please welcome Ananya Chatterjee, our head of the upper school.
Thank you. Okay. I will be very quick. I've got 3 things that I wanted to talk with you about. One has to do with data, one has to do with joy, one has to do with sadness. Anne Wargo, my friend, are you here? You get to pick data, joy, sadness. Joy, oh, good, okay. So I recently learned what FTW means. Do you know this acronym, social media, FTW, for the win? I am calling the 8:30 start time for the win, and here's why. So our building, I used to walk in every day at 7:30 in the morning, and there were students here, for sure, right? People arrive at 7:30, and they get breakfast, and they start their day, and then by 8:10, those hallways are busy, and the cars are lined up, and the kids are streaming in, and they're in class, and then there's silence at 8:15. That's how it's been. It is a slower start now. And I've been walking around, and I've been talking to seniors, and I happen to teach seniors this year. And so I've been asking them, how different is the 8:30 start time? And they have told me it is markedly different, that it feels hugely different to them. So I'm giving that a win for now. I will continue to say it's a win. When we have challenges this year, I'm going to be like, yeah, but 8:30 start time. Okay, so now I'm going to transition to a little bit of data. And so we have a big 9th grade class. We have 153 in our 9th grade class. And I wanted to talk a little bit with you about why this happened. First of all, this is good news to share. We only had 3 students leave Form 2, from Form 2 to Form 3 this year, which, you know, given the lure of boarding school sometimes, that's a pretty good number, and we are very proud of that. But in addition, there's a lot of studies that go into yield in college. So when you are in a college and you over-enroll or go over enrollment, you have to build a dorm. When you are at Pingree and you have a couple of extra students, you just hire new faculty and staff to support that. What is interesting for us is our student-teacher ratio is still between 13 and 14 to 1. And that number is even a tiny bit lower in the younger grades, meaning 9th and 10th grade. It's our junior and senior electives that are filled to capacity because, for example, we have 4 completely full sections of AP Psychology. We have 1 teacher for that course. We have enough signups for 5 sections, but we don't have enough signups for 2 teachers. Whereas in the younger grades, if we have more students, we are in the fortunate position when we can just hire faculty to support that. So our student-teacher ratio is still the same. We have a fantastic Form 3 dean named Ms. Wong Hobbs, which many of you who were here for orientation was able to see, and she's really got a good pulse on the class. We're going to keep an eye because 153 is, okay, admittedly a little higher, but we'll keep an eye on that. So that's a little data for you. And my final thing is, I am one of you. So years ago, I used to say that the mornings were great until I told my daughter to put her shoes on, because that's when things fell apart. As soon as I said, put your shoes on, she was drawing or on the computer or whatever, and that's when my voice started to raise. So now it's come to like, okay, so now she's 12, and it's great, and we have this great night, and we have dinner, and we have conversation, and then I say, give me your phone for the end of the night, and that's it. And then they're shrieking, and sometimes tears, both by me. So I am one of you, and we're all in the same boat. And one of the things that I do want to say is that even though I happen to personally have a child who's in the middle school, and our upper school administration, our academic dean has high school age children, and our dean of students has elementary school and preschool age children, even though in our upper school administration we sort of span the gamut of ages, we look at things through a parent lens, and we make decisions through a parent lens, and we prepare conversations as though we're on the receiving end of those conversations. And that's very much the way that we operate in the upper school, so I wish you a lot of joy and love and happiness and no tears this year. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. That's a lot of great food for thought. And as we send our kids to school, that we help them be in a good place when they enter the building. So a lot starts at home. Much of everything starts at home. So I would like to switch around our program in the essence of time. So I will jump ahead a little bit and invite Dr. Cottingham and then also Eva and Dr. Adam Rosen to the stage, please. Hi. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Dr. Cottingham, if you would like to share. Dr. Cottingham has an incredible role here at the Pingree School, especially here at the upper school, so she wants to tell you a little bit more about her year ahead.
Good morning. I'm the one who has high school age children, so I get it. I absolutely get it. I wanted to say that this is my 5th year at Pingree, my 3rd year as the academic dean, so I'm just starting to get a handle on things. My looking at the year ahead is maybe a little more ineffable than initiatives that people have been talking about. The first one that I wanted to talk about is, I don't know how many of you saw the convocation that we had on Friday or heard about the convocation that we had on Friday, but we had our student body president who in his speech, Brian Lee, in his speech he referenced Emily Sanchez, who is our president of the honor board. And in her speech, she referenced Brian Lee, who was standing on the stage with her. And then in Matt Levinson's speech, he referenced both of those people. And for some reason, that has stuck with me more than the content of their speeches, in the sense that I think with Matt Levinson's arrival, what we've really been focusing on and what we've sort of reaffirmed is our commitment to community and to partnership and to turning to each other and to conversing with each other and to listening with each other. And Matt, I think, referenced a little earlier today that he is sitting down with all of the adults in this community for 20, 25, 30 minutes in their spaces. I don't think he mentioned that, in order to really listen to people. And I think the people of this community really feel listened to and like their voices and their perspectives really count right now, which is amazing. The second thing that I'm really looking forward to is our theme for this year. Our theme for this year is student wellness. And in my position, I work with kids who have concussions and are out for a week. I work with kids who have the flu and are out for 2 weeks. I work with kids who have mono. I work with kids who suffer from anxiety and may miss weeks of school due to anxiety. So for me, the turn to how to keep ourselves healthy and well and what to do to overcome obstacles that we will inevitably at some point come upon during the year is really, really fantastic to me, and it'll help me do my job, and it'll help me help your children much more. And then the last thing, and then I'll get off the stage, is 4 years ago, this is very personal, 4 years ago I became the advisor to 6 freshmen at Pingree, and this year they are seniors. And I have watched them grow and develop, and one of them is Lisa's daughter, Gabby, and it has been an absolute honor to get to know them and watch them grow up, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they get into college and where they're going to end up, and as they leave Pingree, what adventures they're going to go on. Have a great morning.
And next, please welcome our school counselors, Eva and Adam. Okay, you guys got it.
All right, that's us. All right, so good morning. So we know that many students are dealing with academic stress, social problems, maybe some family issues, worries and uncertainties about the future, maybe periods of depression and anxiety. And really our big message to you is that, we're here for you, we're here for your child. If there's anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And really, no problem is too big or too small. Again, we really want you to reach out to us, to partner with you, and to support your child. We recognize that privacy is very important to you, and we certainly take that very seriously. We also know that there can be a stigma about mental health and about counseling, and so we hope that that's not a barrier for you to reach out to us so that we can help. So just keep that in mind. It'll be an exciting year, it'll be a rewarding year, but there'll be challenges, and that's what we're here for, to help you out with that. So Eva's going to talk a little bit more about some of the outreach that's going to be happening this year, but I want to mention a very exciting guest speaker that we have, that we expect to have lined up for Monday, October 21st, and his name is Sean Swarner, and he's a pediatric cancer survivor, and also a professional mountain climber who has climbed the 7 summits, all with one lung. And we thought he is just a phenomenal, inspirational speaker to go with our theme of health and wellness. And so he'll be coming on the 21st to speak to our students, but also available to speak with you. So there'll be more information about that, but we certainly hope that you join us for that. And I'll turn it over to Eva now.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. So as Adam said, we have a lot of different outreach programs that we're doing this year. Our hope is really to partner with you. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know your needs so that we can be proactive with your children. And so we're hoping to have a series of coffee with the counselors where some of those may have specific topics, but our first one we're really hoping is a discussion with you all to just hear about what you're seeing at home, what you're struggling with, and how we can help, but then how other parents in the room are managing that as well. Because you all really are amazing and you're the experts on your children. So we'd love to hear from you what's working. We also meet students during counseling advisory sessions where we just rotate and pop in to different advisories in the middle school and the upper school to introduce ourselves, tell the kids about the department, where we are, what we see kids for, and it normally results in a lot of kids stopping in saying, oh, I didn't know I could just come talk to you about, how I had a hard morning. So that's always a great opportunity. We're hoping to do a talk with David Fahey, who's our Associate Director of Operations, Safety, and Strategic Initiatives, to talk about mental health and campus safety. And so to really give you two sides of the coin, the logistical part and what we're doing from a really hands-on safety perspective, but also the mental health piece. How do we support students through a lot of what's happening in our world today and take care of them? We have upper school and middle school student wellness or kindness clubs that we work with, which has been a great opportunity, again, to just decrease stigma about the counselors. We're people too. And then a lot of folks have talked about the pro-grow theme this year for faculty and staff around student health and wellness. So we have been really involved in that. But we just want to thank you again in advance for your partnership this year. Please reach out. We have a lot of families that just call to say, I'm not sure how to deal with this. Can I talk it through with you? Yes, I am not going to track down your child and grab them from class if you just want to figure out and brainstorm ideas. So please look to us as a resource, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if you noticed, but Eve is bringing a new member to our community. So right now, I would like to take the time to welcome up Elizabeth Breidinger, our Director of Institutional Advancement, and Shelley Hartz, and then we will be resuming with our guest speaker in just a few minutes.
Hello. I'm Elizabeth Breidinger. This is Jane Hoffman. We have been given 3 minutes, and I'm going to try my best to stick to that. First off, you've been thanked, but we want to thank you again. We wanted to share the phenomenal fundraising results that we experienced this past year, in large part due to your participation and generosity. Thank you so much. The school raised $7.4 million in new gifts and pledges. A large majority of that was a realization of a gift from a will that went primarily to financial aid. I just wanted to let you know that. The Pingree Fund reached our goal and actually exceeded it. We raised $2.8 million, and we had 57% participation from parents. So thank you, everyone. The Pingree Fund, I think most of you are familiar with it, but those who may not, it supports all aspects of the Pingree experience. So that is everything that is happening in the classroom, out of the classroom, faculty and students, as well as staff. Really, it is providing a portion of the budget that it takes every year to run the school. Our goal is set in conjunction with the business office. We work with the business office to find out what the gap is in budget to put on the school year, and we discuss what we are able to raise. So Mr. Weckesser does not come to me and say it's $10 million, and I say, I don't think so. So we have a goal this upcoming year of $2.9 million for the Pingree Fund. We would love to increase parent participation, and that is a gift of any size. It tremendously matters to show your support and your belief in the school. I also would really like to beat participation at both Del Barton and Newark Academy, so no pressure. One of the ways in which we are hoping to get participation early in this year, because everyone loved it last year.
This year on September 26th, we're going to have our annual Day of Giving, which is Ring the Bell in honor of John Hanley's birthday. Oh, John Hanley. That was the headmaster when I was at Pingree in the 90s. Sorry about that slip. John Pingree's birthday. So last year we had 170 families participate in Ring the Bell, as well as numerous alumni. So you'll be seeing information about this in the BBB, on all of our social media channels, as well as our website. We encourage you to participate on this day, to make your gift or pledge, and also to encourage other Pingree parents to get involved.
Let me say, how do I get involved? We have both a link to how you can participate in making a gift, whether it's online, or if you would also like to volunteer. We would love to work with you on generating support throughout the community, and so please feel free to let us know. September 26th, if you're a little bit uneasy about volunteering, we are hosting a volunteer training, and we would love to have you there. This is our contact information. I'm at 3:05, so we're done, but feel free to ask questions, send emails. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you both. Thank you both. And now I'd like to welcome Shelley Hart, our Director of Community and Civic Engagement. Right, you want this? Here you go.
Lisa, thank you. Lisa just mentioned to me to be quick, and of course, those of you that know me, giving me a microphone in the stage, that's going to be a little hard. The mission of the Pingree School is to foster in students a lifelong commitment to intellectual exploration, individual growth, and social responsibility. And that's where I come in. I do believe, and I feel my job is, if Pingree is going to talk the talk, then my job is to make sure that we as a community walk the walk with our engagement in the community, not only here at Pingree, but the community outside the doors of Pingree, whether it be local, national, or global. And I do feel that Pingree does that, and I think that we continue to grow in our responsibility towards the community. Every student at Pingree needs, from 7th grade through 12th, needs to earn 10 hours of service, and part of my job is to give our students those responsibilities. In addition, my job is to support students who want to create their own responsibility, and I see that more and more, the creativity and the desire to make commitments using their passion, like robotics, and bringing that to an inner city school, to tennis. Right now, basically, some of the things that I provide is we have an intergenerational prom, where we invite 250 people, where we invite senior citizens in the community, and we get around 250 people for dinner and dancing, and we provide everything. In about a month, we will be, the entire school, the middle school and upper school, will be off campus, going to 38 different organizations and a few on campus to provide our volunteer services. It's a pretty hefty job. We make a big impact on the community. If you have any questions or concerns or want ideas, please don't hesitate to email me, although if you do call me and say, what can my child do? I will ask you to have your child come in and talk to me first, because I don't want to tell you that they can go work at a shelter for animals if they're afraid of dogs. I want to know what they want to do, and we're going to brainstorm together. So I look forward to working with all of the middle school and the upper school on community engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley Hart. And now, I will hold off introducing the remaining of my board so that our administration, our faculty can get on with their day also. But I want to welcome Coach, can I say Coach? Coach Doug Scott, who then will introduce our speaker as well.
Good morning. My name is Doug Scott. Your students in the upper school or middle school may know me as Coach Scott. If I'm also the sophomore dean, so they may know me as Mr. Scott. I take on multiple roles at the school. The faculty in service this year's theme is student well-being. So you can imagine the excitement that I have this year. When I was hired at Pingree 21 years ago, I came in as an assistant track coach, just looking for some part-time work. And they said, how would you like to be our strength coach? We see you have a degree in exercise physiology and that's what you're qualified to do. I said, sure, that's great. I interviewed with Headmaster John Hanley at the time while he was riding an exercise bike, and 5 minutes later, I was gainfully employed by Pingree and able to pay rent. So that was cool. So coming from humble beginnings of a strength and conditioning program, started in a room which is now Miller's office, where we moved to the first grade center up above by the pool, which was a great room, into now to a athletic center and a much larger facility, which is beyond words. If you haven't seen it, you really should take a look at it. And that's just one small area where Pingree has put a lot of time, energy, and resources into the programming that affects our student well-being. Myself, along with Eva, Sue Murato, and Julie Perlow, have been working together over the summer, along with 30 other faculty, staff, and administrators on this Student Well-Being Committee, all charged with the same question, which is our key question for the year. How do we promote an environment that supports the community's overall well-being, particularly our students? We are looking at the students as multifaceted individuals with varied interests, both in the classroom as well as outside the classroom, as well as a social life outside of Pingree. Looking at the school from educating kindergartners all the way up through graduating seniors, and as a framework, taking these 8 dimensions of wellness, which we got from Oklahoma University's wellness program, 3 of them being physical, emotional, and social well-being, and adding our own Pingree flavor to it, where we have the tagline, Educate 360. Educate 360 is a spin-off of the idea of Teach the Whole Child, where wellness and well-being is certainly a part of it, but it's asking the faculty and staff to dig a little deeper and try to understand how what they teach impacts the child from a 360-degree parameters. So using the I perspective, if I am teaching fitness classes, which is what I do, and a student has a full academic schedule as a junior, they have to fulfill a fitness requirement. If I recommend that they train and do that requirement in the morning before school, that's great. However, I have to look at now, how does that impact that student's sleep habits? How does that impact the commuting that might put their family under? Does that impact how they can do homework the night before? So it's taking one area that we do as educators in a discipline, and how does that affect the child holistically? So that's what we're working on this in our November faculty and staff in-service day. We kicked off this year in August with our first in-service day, which was the theme, Wellness is All Around Us, We just have to know where to look, where we highlighted and showcased Pingree's current programming and efforts that we are currently doing, ranging from the importance of recess that our middle school teachers were able to demonstrate to us, all the way up through the varied health curriculums, student support services, athletic training, how our nutrition programming works alongside of Sage Dining to help the students better understand how to find healthier food choices and foster good eating habits. And then in the November meeting, like I said, we are going to be having workshops presented from over 30 of our faculty members, specifically targeting how our current teachers on all disciplines and all levels can better understand the impact that what we're doing are having on each individual child here. Now I want to introduce John Crowley-Delman. He is our Director of Experiential Education.
And I will say that when speaking with Matt over the summer, we as PSPA wanted to know how we could support the messages that he wants to get out this year. And one of the things that he suggested is to help us on some level at our coffees, at our meetings, to be able to communicate more information about the school's strategic plan, which sounds like some big name with not a lot of meaning to many people. And so we then would like to kind of break it down a little bit more on layman's terms, on a friendlier level in terms of what that looks like for our school. So here is John Crowley-Delman. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that I was a Pingree student for 13 years, so I'm what they call a lifer. And now my colleagues are reminding me that I've been a teacher here for almost 13 years, which makes me a double lifer. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. I would also mention that my dad was a teacher here for over 40 years. He just retired this past year, and I had the honor of sharing an office with him for the first time last year, which mostly worked out well. This July, I had the good fortune to participate in a 6-day experiential learning conference at the Island School, a semester-away program for high school students located in Cape Eleuthera, Bahamas. I should note at this point that the Island School is not affected by the hurricane, which passed north of there, but they did send their medic to help in the rescue efforts. I have long been impressed by the Island School. Pingree students returning from semesters there have raved about it. Deirdre O'Mara, a Pingree biology teacher, attended a conference there in 2018 and told me I had to go. But most of all, I've been impressed by the school's reputation for challenging long-standing misconceptions of experiential ed as something you do at summer camp, sitting around a campfire singing Kumbaya. Now, I should mention at this point that I'm a veteran and professional summer camp counselor, and I love summer camp. Even the Island School's president and co-founder, Chris Maxey, defies stereotypes of experiential ed as something mushy. As a Yale graduate, a former Lawrenceville teacher, and a one-time Navy SEAL turned environmental educator, he designed the school from the ground up to challenge the whole child, mind, body, and spirit. There's nothing mushy about it. To develop the mind, students work with scientists at the neighboring Cape Eleuthera Institute, who are conducting multi-year research projects. During the conference, I had the pleasure of spending an afternoon working with a scientist who has spent 3 years researching deep water fish attraction devices, or FADs. To strengthen the body, students engage in daily exercises meant to train them for their final exam, a choice between running a half marathon or completing a 4-mile open sea swim. I would like to say that I had the pleasure of taking part in daily exercises, but if you've ever gone for run swims with a former Navy SEAL, as I have now, pleasure is not the first word that comes to mind. To awaken the spirit, students at the Island School are asked to return again and again to a deceptively simple question. How do we live well in a place? For my fellow conference attendees and me, that meant grappling with very real environmental issues facing the Bahamas, but also our local communities back home. Students at the Island School find their time there fulfilling not because it is easy, but because it is hard. As Chris Maxey told us, we want students to leave saying, I did something I never thought I could do. Pingree is not the Island School. It shouldn't be the Island School. But the Island School provides us with a model of experiential education that is rigorous, authentic, and meaningful. So, what is experiential education? I recognize that many of us might not be experts. Fundamentally, a good way to understand experiential learning is that it's learning by doing. It's learning with accountability beyond the carrot and stick of a letter grade. It's learning that has real-world application, often because it's cross-disciplinary. It's learning in which calculated risk-taking and reflection is encouraged. It's learning that fosters resilience. It's learning that feels like guided democracy, where experience is the best teacher when guided by a great teacher. What is effective experiential learning? Well, it should feel authentic. Students know why they're doing it. It supports social emotional learning by connecting to mind, body, and spirit. And it should foster moments of awakening, wow moments, followed by reflection. So why is experiential education for Pingree? I think the most important part is that it supports our core values. Our mission reads in part to foster in students a lifelong commitment to intellectual exploration, individual growth, and social responsibility. Our vision to prepare students to be global citizens and leaders. Our honor code: Pingree students should be citizens of and contributors to the larger community of the world. If we're really trying to foster global citizens and leaders, they have to practice being global citizens and leaders. They have to actually do it. Another reason experiential ed is important for us is that it supports our strategic plan and the 5 aspirations of our strategic plan, which we should hold ourselves accountable to. Experiential ed is not one of the 5 aspirations of the strategic plan, but it supports all 5, sometimes explicitly. One of the exercises that I think is really interesting to do in this community is just Google Pingree Strategic Plan and see what pops up. I'll show you what pops up. Purposes and disciplines. It's the first one. The aspiration reads, we must aspire to prepare our students to become not only masters of individual disciplines, but skilled problem solvers, resilient in the face of setbacks, who are adept at intellectual navigation within and across disciplines as they pursue solutions to substantive problems, and, by so doing, work not solely for personal advantage, but for the common good. Experiential ed, with its focus on interdisciplinary learning and ethical learning, moral leadership, supports this aspiration. Global education. Julia Dunbar, who's now our Director of Global Education and Engagement, says, some of the skills that we as educators want to teach, and much of what the Honor Code embodies, are empathy, risk-taking, and understanding the broader community of the world. Experiential education, whether it's on campus, local, or abroad, is a really good way to build these skills. She's right. Student well-being. Doug Scott, who just spoke, our Director of Strength and Conditioning, says, we need to teach students to be stable, healthy, resilient people. Again, experiential ed, focus on mind, body, spirit, builds resilience. Faculty and staff growth and development. Here our charge is explicit. The aspiration: we must aspire to a cohesive faculty and staff that increasingly mirror the diversity of our student body, that share a strong sense of faculty and staff community, that are skilled in designing and implementing experiential education both in the classroom and the field. Maximizing impact. The key question here is, how do we improve Pingree's financial sustainability in ways that expand and enhance our positive impact on society? Experiential learning programs can help us do that, especially with their focus on moral leadership. So what does experiential education look like at Pingree? Well, it can look like this image. It's a little hard to see, of upper school students doing scientific research in the ocean in Belize. But basically, it's education that integrates mind, body, and spirit, that's academically rigorous, physically challenging, spiritually meaningful. I think, as a former Pingree student, when I was a student, Pingree always did those three things. It was always academically rigorous, physically challenging, spiritually meaningful, but those things tended to be siloed. In the classroom, I experienced the academic rigor. On the athletic field, as a football player and lacrosse player, it's physically challenging. And then the spiritually meaningful part came from, I think, much from John Hanley, who was the head of the school at the time. But they weren't integrated in the classroom and in daily life in a way that they might be. Experiential ed at Pingree also fosters global leadership in three spheres. The classroom at the most local level, the community, think New Jersey as a whole, and then the global spheres. And then it's intentional. It's intentionally designed, it's responsible, and it's ethical. The honor code should be fundamental to what we do. So the main purpose of why I'm here is to brief you on a ton of work that went into last year's professional development theme. We called it the Year of ExEd, Experiential Ed, ExEd. And there were three phases to the plan we came up with. The first phase was to celebrate, model, and inspire. We wanted to celebrate great things we're already doing. We wanted to model good ExEd practice for our faculty and inspire them to craft new and improved learning experiences for students. On October 15th, the entire school embarked on workshops. Faculty members had a choice of 19 workshops run exclusively by Pingree teachers. About 34 Pingree teachers led workshops that day, as far away as New York City and as close as the Basking Ridge campus farm. This was a year of preparation in the making. We had three simple goals for this day: foster goodwill and camaraderie. That was the main thing. It's an element of experiential ed, to build community. The second, of course, was to model effective experiential teaching. And the third was to introduce the Kolb cycle as a framework. I'm not going to get into the details of Kolb cycle, but basically it's a way of structuring experiential learning lesson plans that is based on scientific method. So how did we do? Well, we gave a survey after the fact, an anonymous survey. 98% of respondees said that we achieved our goal of fostering goodwill and camaraderie. 95% felt that effective experiential teaching was modeled for them, and close to 90% said that the Kolb cycle was effectively delivered as a basic framework for experiential ed. But my favorite part is the testimony. We had a lot of great testimony come back. My very favorite one is the one at the top from Patty Finn. Patty Finn was my music teacher when I was in the lower school, and she said to, I believe to Shelley Hartz, "We've talked for decades about one Pingree. This is the first time I felt it." And that's a big part of experiential ed, that it's not just the mind, it's not just thinking, but feeling, that there's an emotional connection. Phase 2 of the Year of Experiential Ed took place in February, and over the course of the rest of the year, actually. But the whole idea there was to put theory into practice. So if we modeled good experiential ed in October, the idea here was, well, how can we make that a reality in the classroom and beyond? So we did that through organizing working sessions and through global leadership field courses. On the February 15th in-service day, we had three main goals: to, again, foster collegiality, transition from inspiration to practice, so how do we actually put what we've learned into practice, and then to end sessions with concrete achievements. We felt that sometimes in the past, during professional development opportunities, you leave with good ideas, but not something concrete you can implement. So we wanted to avoid that. So there were 14 working sessions on February 15th with 39 Pingree teacher guides, and there were three categories. Classroom ex-ed, that was for people who wanted to design an experiential lesson plan they could implement tomorrow. School evolution ex-ed, that was for teachers who were interested in developing an experiential project that might take months to implement, something like independent research projects or something like that. And then school vision ex-ed was for people that were interested in thinking about how we could improve experiential education for the school over years. It might take 5 years, the length of our strategic plan, to implement. And faculty members and staff had a choice of which one they wanted to enter into. In addition, we wanted to work on our modeling of global education, and especially travel courses. So last year, we offered 3 travel courses for Pingree educators, one to the Adirondacks in February that looked at farming, sustainability, and outdoor education, one in Belize in June that focused on marine biology, and one to Eastern Europe that focused on history. Phase 3 of this plan was to really identify our challenges and to craft a vision moving forward. And this, I think, is really important, to recognize what challenges lie ahead to crafting a more experiential type of education here. And these are the challenges that, the main 3 challenges that we've identified, and we've communicated this to the board in the past. I think the biggest one is time. How do we carve out time for deep learning experiences? When do teachers have time to craft these learning experiences? So right now, especially with global education or multi-day trips, those happen during vacation times, they happen in the summer, they happen on top of what your children are already doing here, which is a lot. So how might we be able to put time into the calendar year for these types of deep learning experiences? Funding. How do we ensure that global ed opportunities especially, which are costly, are affordable to all of our students? How do we recruit faculty members who are the most talented to work in this area? And then respect. And what we mean by that is respect of time, reward. How do we ensure that teachers who invest in developing ex-ed learning opportunities are celebrated for risk-taking? Because it's hard. I do this work all the time, and it's challenging. And how do we ensure that students who take these risks are celebrated? We don't have all the answers yet, of course. We're still working on this stuff. But we did make a major push last year. And so that was the vision report for experiential learning and global education that Matt referenced, a 39-page report that we came up with. It was the result of an effort by 52 members of the faculty, administration, and staff who took part in school vision working sessions. It included a charrette for the entire community in June, and the product was that report that gives recommendations to the head of school on 4 biggest aspirations of the 2018 strategic plan as they relate to experiential and global education. Those 4, which we didn't come up with, it was come up with in the strategic plan, are upper school mini-mesters, interdisciplinary studies, assessment and grading, and satellite campuses. I'm not going to get into all of those right now, but I will say that our biggest recommendation was to push for upper school mini-mesters. We really felt that that was the key to unlock the other three big aspirations that are mentioned here. And a mini-mester, for those of you who don't know, refers to an academic marking period when the regular curriculum stops and students are given focused time for deep, intensive learning that is both academic and highly experiential in nature. Ideally, mini-mester courses are interdisciplinary and allow intentional focus on socio-emotional learning. I went to Williams College. At Williams, they called it a winter study, and it was a month in January. It doesn't have to be that. There are a lot of different models out there, but there are a lot of schools who are already doing this. That was our primary recommendation. Let's explore mini-mesters. In the months ahead, a mini-mester leadership committee will begin to explore potential designs for mini-mesters in the upper school that best fit our school culture. We have plenty of models to look at: the Hun School just down the road, Hawkins School in Cleveland, Ohio, University Prep in Seattle, where Matt Levinson came from. There they call them intensives. There's a lot of exciting work ahead, and I'm ready to get busy. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We'd like to thank John so much for taking the time to deliver that presentation for us. It kind of breaks it down for us in layman's terms. So very excited for that. I'm so sorry that we have gone over. I would like to ask my reps, the PSPA reps for the lower school, for the middle school, and for the upper school, please join me, along with Ann Wargo and Margaret Santana, please. And while we are just almost done, I want to, a couple of them will speak about the events that will happen during this year. We have a very busy PSPA year. We generally always do. We are welcoming some new programs and doing some new things that we haven't done before, so we're very excited about that. We are always looking for new people to get involved, and if you, and I've heard it before, I've put in my name for something, but I haven't heard back from anybody. So I would ask that you give us a little bit more time, because we are just right now getting back to school and getting everything together. So I would like to welcome Rupal Oberey, who is our lower school rep. And just step forward, Rupal, so that everyone knows. Rupal is over the 2nd and 3rd grade. And Rupal does a lot of work with Larry Lee, who could not be here today. He is our kindergarten and 1st grade rep, along with Freddie Schachter, who's our 4th and 5th grade rep. Our middle school rep, I think, had to toddle off to work, is Twinkle Morgan. So be sure to reach out to her for anything that you need, any questions that you have, and she can definitely, you know, facilitate some conversations for you to get the answers that you need. And then our two, before I say my two upper school reps, because I know they have a few words to say, I do want to introduce to you Ann Wargo, who is our 2nd VP, who is generally the one who is over the soiree. So Angela will have a very busy year ahead. Angela also has a senior, and Angela, I know, I know. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Angela was our soiree vice president last year, so I'm trying to get Angela out of my mind. But Ann is so eager to meet and work with anyone who's willing to join us and have some fun with us for the planning of the soiree. So without further ado, I would also like to introduce Angela Burrell, who is our Form 3 and 4 rep, and she is also our liaison for Friday Night Lights, which will be held on Friday, September 27th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Friday Night Lights is Pingree's only home nighttime football game. It will be on Friday the 27th from 6 to 9. It's a PSPA community event. We really would love all of you guys to attend. It's on the football field here. We have 600 people. and adults and children of all ages. It's a big tent. We have it fully catered with an Italian meal, and we order 150 pizzas for the kids. It's really fun, it's really welcoming, it's really engaging for the whole community. It's very cute. The seniors, we tried to get the lower school and the upper school connected, and the senior football players go down to the lower school, and they meet the kindergartners, and they high five, and they give each other presents. It's very, very cute. Be on the lookout this Thursday in the Big Blue Bulletin. There's an RSVP and also a form to volunteer, and I encourage you to volunteer. There's only half-hour shifts. And I must say, in my decade I've had at Pingree, my closest friends are the people I have met volunteering at all these amazing events. So that's it. We encourage you all to come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. And now Kim Shannon, who's our Form 5 and 6 grade rep for the upper school, would also like to give you an announcement about Big Blue Pride.
Hello, all. Big Blue Pride, it's basically a group of parents who are trying to inspire their children or encourage their children to stay for sporting events after school. We have a student Big Blue Pride, which we work with, and they're trying to create some new events to get students to stay. In all this health and wellness talk, I think it's a great idea to take 30 minutes or an hour. If you take the bus, take the later bus, just to give support to those who are out there playing all these games and competing for Pingree. So hope to see you out, and look in the Big Blue Bulletin as well as all the social media. We'll have announcements and dates there. I also need to make a housekeeping announcement about the, what's it called again? Lost and Found. Sorry, I lost it. But anyway, Lost and Found. Please have your children put their names in their clothing. A lot of items are turning up in Lost and Found, and we need to have some control of that. Thank you. Yes? Say it again. Oh, in your clothing. If you can put a phone number in there, that would be great also. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, and in Lost and Found, I think Ann can attest to this. We found gift cards that like around Christmas, the holidays, gift cards in kids' pockets of very, very nice jackets that were never actually delivered to whoever they were going to give them to. Very, very nice items that they never come back to look for. So please, please, please identify your child's clothing. It's unreal. I never, ever seen such a thing in that Lost and Found closet. So, and Margaret is going to close us out, and I again apologize for going over time, but I hope that you all got a good bit of information and a good little snapshot of what is coming for us the year ahead. Margaret?
When Lisa asked me to close out, I thought, oh, she probably has another meeting or she has to run off and do something because she's a very busy person. And then as we sat here, I realized Lisa's not leaving, so maybe it's just a joke because she figures it's going to be an empty room, so the joke's on me. And then I realized, so thank you all who are still here. And then I realized, wait a minute, Lisa asked me to close it out because, and I'm glad she did, because she wanted to give me an opportunity, a developmental opportunity as her step up. And she really already has been wonderful about bringing me in, bringing all of us in. And I think I want to thank her for her opening remarks today, because I think that she has set the tone, and as has Matt, as has all the administrators who took time out of their schedule today. Because I don't know about you, but I really felt like this was one of the best back-to-school meetings that I've attended so far in terms of the positive energy and the sense of community. And I'm really excited for the year ahead, and for the parent community to really grow stronger with not only our students, but the faculty and staff. So thank you, Lisa. And then obviously no one's really here anymore, but I wanted to thank all the administrators and encourage all of you to, if you don't have time to volunteer, just show up for some of the events, or encourage your children to show up for the events. And all of you are part of the PSPA. The PSPA isn't just the board, it's every single parent that is in the parent community. So we can't do it without you, and we really look forward to having a fabulous year with you. Thanks.
Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon.